So we're forming the tube on a gouged, shaped, and profiled cane, GSP. So we have our GSP here, and the first thing I want to do is mark where the first two wires are going to go. So I put it on my easel, and then just so you know, the way I do this is from here to here is that's 1 inch, but if I go from here to here, it's 5/8 of an inch, or 16 millimeters, and then between the two wires is 11/32 of an inch, or 9 millimeters. So I'm going to take my file and just mark where those wires are going to go. And that doesn't have to be very deep. It's just a mark to know where the wires are going. Then I do the same thing on the other side. Then after we have that, we're going to do what we call scoring. So this it makes when we form the tube, so the cane will break or bend kind of controllably. So between the first two wires here, I start and I hold my blade, either a knife or a razor blade, and I make a line down the center, just really kind of cutting through the bark. Mine went off to the side there, so I redid it. And then I kind of split that in half, and I usually go a little bit lower, like where that wire is. And I do the same thing, and then I split these in half, and like that, and do the same thing once again. So I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines, but you can do more if you want. Then flip around and do the same thing on this side. 1 down the center. Divide that in half. Divide that in half. And then I split each of those again. Okay. So, and then we do, this is called beveling, and really starting slightly below that second wire, I'm just going to take a little sliver off of this. Not very much. And I do the same thing on the other side. And so this makes it so when we form the tube, it will make a circle and will seal. And I take my 400 sandpaper and just sand that a little bit. And the other side as well. Okay. Next thing, we're going to smooth out the inner bark here. So this makes it so when the air is going through the reed, it doesn't have extra resistance by hitting bumps and imperfections in the cane. So I first take my 400 sandpaper and put it on there and sand it. I get my fingers a little wet. It helps the cane stick to my fingers. It's pretty difficult to do this too much, so I usually never worry about that. turn it over and check it out, and it looks pretty good. I had pencil markings on the other side there, and they're all gone. That always makes me feel pretty good about that. Then I do the same thing with the 600 sandpaper. And now it's very smooth. I always like to say it feels like glass now. Very smooth. I think I'm going to do it a little bit more. Okay, now we're ready to fold this in half. We want to fold it in the center, so there's probably other ways to do this. I know there are, but what I do is I get a little graphite on my razor blade, and then I put my cane on there, make sure it's at the end, and it's going straight. Then I take my razor blade, and I have a line here that's approximately the center, but the cane is never perfectly, when you buy it, a lot of times they say it's 120 millimeters, but it's never exactly that. So by putting a line there, and then I flip this over to the other side, and then I have two marks there. Well, that one side, I think I can tell it's not. So this one's, I got that one mark is pretty good. I'm just gonna do it here. So then I'm just gonna, wait, try that again. So I have two little marks there, pretty close to each other, and I just move it just a hair, so to speak, and then I'm going to put sort of try to find put my blade between those two, and the other side, just kind of find the center here, and then I just rock the blade a little bit. You don't have to do that very much, just a little indication. And then I put my thumbs in the center and fold it in half. And this one worked out really well. See how it's really even at the end? If it's a little off, though, it's not a big deal, so don't fret over that. Okay, now we're going to put a wire on there. So I take my number 22 brass wire and put that around it. And the important thing is when you're putting the wire around it, you don't want the wire to cross itself, because when you tighten it, then it will end up cutting itself and the wire will break. So until we get back here, the wire never crosses. Then I get my pliers and I pull this wire and twist, pull and twist. And then I usually squeeze them together like that. Our goal here is we want the wire to touch the cane all the way around, sort of supporting it all the way around. So I kind of squeezed it there, and then I pull and twist. pull and twist, put them together, kind of look around the reed, trying to get that close all the way around. Of course, you don't want to squeeze this really hard. You'll break the cane. You just have to be gentle. And now I just cut the excess off. And now we're ready for the next step. So here we have our gouge shaped and profiled cane with the wire on it. And then I have some string here, and we're going to wrap this around, starting about there on the reed, and wrapping this string tight. By doing this, when we form the tube, it will keep the cane from cracking in ways we don't want it to crack. Oh, one thing I didn't mention before this whole process, the cane soaks at least 8 hours, and make sure it's fully submerged in the water. So this cane is very wet. Now I tie this off. Just go underneath it, whatever way works. Okay, now we're gonna get over to the stove where we have some water boiling. And I use my pliers. And see, I have it in there like that. And then I'm going to put this on the steam. And hold it here. And then I'm just very gently squeezing it. But as it warms up and the steam gets in there, it will open up the tube, which is what we want. So see how it's opening up. Kind of readjust this so it's in a good way. You see, do a little bit longer. Just depends on the cane. Sometimes it's faster than others. And then here's my number 6 knitting needle, which is chucked in like a file handle. And I just put that in. And now our task is to put this in the reed. I probably should switch hands. After I got that on there, then I can just twist that on there like that. And I have a mark on here so the widest part of the knitting needle goes up to the first wire. I don't know if you can see that mark on the knitting needle, but I've got that marked so it'll go up to the first wire. Okay, now we're going to go back to our other place. And I've got this on here now, so I can just gently kind of squeeze it around there. Nothing, this is just very gentle. And then I have this, my longer mandrel. I like to put that in there. And I'm looking to just where it opens a little bit on the side. But then I can do the same thing I did before. Kind of just squeeze that around there. And I like to use these pliers as well. Okay, so we have that. Now we put it on our our peg for drying. And I again like to squeeze it around there. So now we're going to take off this string, at least going from the top. And get below there for where the second wire goes. And then like we did before, we're going to put that second wire on here. And just like before, we don't want to cross the wires until they get to the back. And then using our needle nose pliers, we can tighten, and like before, we pull and twist, pull and twist. And that should be snug around the cane. You don't have to pull it like really hard, just so it's going snug around the cane. And we cut the extra off. Then we take the rest of the string off and then put our third wire, third wire. Oh, before I do this, I like to, with that string off now, this is important, it's kind of squeeze this. This kind of breaks it more around the base there. So, and then the goal here is to try to get this as far down as we can, but we don't want to leave it really sealed there. But see, it's not open on the side there, so I feel pretty good about that. And I'm going to check this again. And then I can put the third wire on. And notice this one points this way, this one this way, so they're not all pointing in the same direction. And you just have to leave enough space on the bottom so you can get your thread on there. And I'm going to move that down a little bit. And then again, pull and twist. And this one should be really tight. So this one you should use you can't probably do this one too tight, except if you break this. If you break the wire, then you've done it too tight. Okay, and then I just cut that off, and then we're going to set that on the drying rack, and it's going to dry.